All right, welcome back everybody after a short break. After the heater that was that last match, an absolute banger, we have another banger in the winner's bracket for you today. South Korea up against the United Kingdom, Seed 1 up against Seed 7, I believe. But we do have another banger for you. Joined by me is Doomsday, obviously the representative of the United Kingdom. I am Vordy, and a little bit tired after that last match, but how are you doing today, Doomsday?
Hey, what's up, Vordy? I don't blame you after that last match. How do you follow that? Well, with South Korea and UK, of course. Of course, I'm here for the lads, but I'm mostly here to see an absolute banger of a match, and this is a matchup that never fails to deliver. It's one of the biggest rivalries in OWC history. These two are just destined to face so often in OWC. This is their 7th matchup in OWC history, and they constantly keep matching up early rounds, late rounds, and it has never failed to produce a great match.
And yeah, obviously, South Korea looking extremely strong this year. First seeded for a reason, and I think the favorites to win the tournament according to many players. So UK is going to have their work cut out for them, but I do think they have plenty of fantastic players. Obviously, the return of Bubbleman is a big boon for them. Akalibed stepping up in not just solo play, but in tourney play as well. Those two are going to be the big 1-2 punch, I think, for the United Kingdom. But, the rest of the roster as well, you can go through the UK roster, since I'm sure you'll know them the best, Doomsday.
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few new names this year that have come through the tourney scene in recent times. Names like Haunter and Ophies, maybe new to some of you, but they are well known in the UK community. Haunter coming into it recently, a very solid gimmicky player, very solid hidden player. Some very good scores on some of the gimmicky DTs as well. And this pool bodes well for that. Ophies coming in, Ireland's own, very solid hard rock player, mechanics player. Of course, the backbone though of the UK, Bubbleman, Akalib, Rudge, Malteser, Easy Champ, and Kingling are players that have been here and done that. But South Korea's roster is littered with names that have the battle scars of previous World Cups and huge tournaments. We don't really need to.
I mean, speaking of a old school King player returning, you have Flying Tuna coming back from the military, able to play once again for his team in the Oz World Cup, and he's going to make a huge difference for this team. You have Karcher and Worst HR player, two domineering players. I think two players to really look out for when we get into these free mods. Then obviously you have Restia, Amamiya Kokoro, Alagrissimo, Spectre, Perezia. So many, players who just, you don't see them too much in open rank, but when it comes to playing for their teams in these team tourneys, they perform at such a high level. And it will be UK banning out the Hard Rock 3 for their first ban. Makes sense considering South Korea's absolutely incredible tech roster. I think South Korea might have the best tech roster in the tournament potentially. So if UK doesn't really want to lean into that Hard Rock tech skill set, that is a good ban to go for. You obviously can also ban No Mod 4 afterwards. And that's going to be South Korea banning out the speed. I think the one skill set South Korea isn't as comfortable on, it is going to be those speedy tapping maps.
UK's tapping roster is very scary. SK will definitely have a good shout on them just because of the versatility of their roster, but it's certainly a place where a team like UK can do some damage. So it's a very decent ban for sure. Just telegraph the rest of the DT pool for the UK though.
The No Mod 5 ban. I just want to see that map be played. Everybody's afraid of the CS8, and honestly, for fair reason. That is not really a skill set most teams are comfortable playing.
It's such an uncomfortable map for a tourney setting, for sure. I'm not surprised it hasn't been very popular. There's still time to see it, though. It's fine. Still time. But not here. I guess UK have players like Kingling that could do some major work on a map like that. So I can see the strat there.
Yeah, for sure. And you never know, sometimes players feel completely fine playing 6.5, but you make them play CS8, and that is a completely different ballpark. And as you mentioned, Kingling, obviously an extremely strong precision player, so maybe a little bit afraid of what Kingling and the rest of the roster can do on a precision map like that. UK is going to think on their final ban. I imagine they go for something techy and gimmicky once again, just because I do think that is going to be something South Korea will perform really, really well on.
Anything on the side of control would be a good ban into South Korea. They pick into it a lot, and for very good reason. This pool has a lot of that though, and even some of the non-ulti maps do have that element to it, which does bode well for this match on the side of South Korea. But yeah, the Nomad 4, Mac Roger, or Maka Roger, that's definitely very control-heavy, ulti, techy. Fits the bill.
Yeah, so they double ban tech. It is honestly completely fair against the South Korea roster. But that UK can't put up a good fight on tech. It's just, I don't know if they're really going to compete on tech against the South Korean roster. That is their #1 comfort. But obviously it's going to be South Korea's first map to pick. I really like the free mod roster for South Korea just because of the nature of, they have Worst HR player who's fantastic at Hidden, they have Karcher who's fantastic at Hard Rock, they have some amazing no-mod players, so I think at some point in this match you're going to be looking to pick free mods for South Korea. Other than that, you still have a good amount of gimmick options left. You have no-mod 2, Hidden 3 to go for.
Plenty to work with on that one. I think the UK's free mod roster is very solid as well because they have those mod specialists that you can throw on the Hidden and the Hard Rock, and they're going to be perfectly fine. But in a head-to-head South Korea, yeah, it's a scary proposition. But we are kicking off with one of the spiciest maps. We saw it in the last one late on. It is first picked here by South Korea.
Yeah.
Figure four.
Flipping the script. If you caught this one in the last match, obviously not your standard Hard Rock one at all. This is a pretty mixed bag of skill sets, a little bit of everything, some tech, some aim control, some sliders, some generic aim there as well, but I do think it's really going to bode well for some of the Hard Rock players in South Korea. I imagine Worst HR player and Karcher are going to love this one. Can imagine Flying Tuna as well. We'll have to see. But on the side of United Kingdom, you have some pretty fantastic Hard Rock players. Obviously Bubbleman, Colibed, Kingling, Mr. Fudgeface, who I think is Rudge, I believe.
It is Rudge, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of players that are going to be just fine on a Hard Rock pick like this, but with this being not your... It's not your father's Hard Rock 1, this, is it? So I do look at South Korea and I'd think, yeah, their roster is going to be so well suited to something so odd like this. I think UK's roster would be a bit more comfortable if it was a bit more standard. But definitely looking at players like Kingling and players like Rudge as well to do well on something a bit weirder in the Hard Rock category.
Yeah, I do think UK is going to want to stick a little bit more into the standard maps, but South Korea is going to want to take them out of their comfort zone, picking stuff like the Hard Rock one, which does throw a lot at you, a lot of missable patterns. Surprisingly, not going to see Karcher in for this one. We'll see Worst HR player, Flying Tuna, Amamiya Kokoro, and Restia for the side of South Korea, and this is their first pick, Seed 1. Expect to be a pretty strong performance here.
Yeah, South Korea not pulling any punches, although, yeah, with no Karcher, it's an interesting one, but we have seen the backing players for South Korea play a starring role in their tournament so far. Karcher hasn't been needed to play lots of maps. He's been in for the maps he really likes because his team are so strong, which, yeah, that shows how strong South Korea are this year. A terrifying force that even their backing players can fill in for a player like Karcher on Hard Rock and still be expected to perform.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough one for UK to upset on. They have the players for it. And obviously with a map like this, where you can miss pretty much anywhere, even extremely skilled players like the ones we see on South Korea can find those cheeky breaks. And if UK can get some big combos, anything is possible on this one. But for their first pick, you definitely imagine South Korea is well practiced. And this is definitely a map where it helps to be practiced.
Absolutely. Well, here we go then, Vordy. Yeah, this is the 7th meeting between these two. And at the moment, it is 3 wins each. This is the decider in a best of 7 over 10 years, Vordy.
6 matchups in 10 years, and this is their 7th. Lots of early breaks out the intro. It's actually UK holding onto those 2 FCs compared to Amamiya Kokoro's 1. Some early breaks from South Korea, but obviously a very long map, plenty of misses to find as we go forward.
Such a terrifying map to start a match off, though, with it being so multi-skill as well. You have to be on the ball in so many assets of sort of Osu play, I suppose, right from the get-go. And the two key players for UK showing no fear, Akalib and Bubble Man early on.
Yeah, UK looking pretty strong in this intro, but the accuracy for South Korea is doing everything to keep this score lead in their court. So you see Amamiya Kokoro on 99%, which on this map is absurd. Does drop below 99%, but still holding absurd accuracy, as well as the worst HR player, Tuna, Restia, all above 97. Meanwhile, Kingling, Fudgeface, and Bubbleman all having some struggles. However, none of that will matter if South Korea finds even one break on one of those big combos.
As Kitslide's coming in. Oh, a trade on both sides. Restia and Akalib. There goes Bubbleman as well, though. The big combos for the UK are down. Just Kingling left, really, with 700 combo. Amamiya Kokoro right now doing the business for South Korea.
It's now just Kingling, as you mentioned, for the Team UK, as Amamiya and worst HR player hold through with some big combos. And now it's going to look pretty good for South Korea going into the second half of the map.
It's two huge combos coming through this more control-based section. Whereas Hard Rock player Amamiya Kokoro holding the line here for the Koreans, but Kingling, one of the Hard Rock mains, is holding combo to try and keep the UK in this. Time's running out though here for a breakpoint potential.
Oh, and that drop from Kingling. I think that pretty much seals the deal. Already a pretty huge score lead for South Korea, above 300k, and that is only going to get wider as worst HR player on the massive recovery. And I think Amamiya is still on the full combo. A full combo on this map would be ridiculous. I think we can see some shakes coming from Amamiya.
Yeah, the shakes coming in. Running it back for his team. Can he hold it together, though? This is already an incredible score by him, regardless of what happens. Ending burst is coming in. Just all about style points now for South Korea. Oh, there's the FC gone. Ah, no. Shakes too much.
But worst HR player doing the closest he can to an FC with what looks to be a reverse choke. You can hold on through the ending. But yeah, this looks like a pretty dominant first pick for South Korea. As we see, two scores above 700k and some pretty strong backing scores. Meanwhile, UK, you have Kingling on the strongest score with just a little bit above 500k. And I mean, I guess what you would expect from the seed first going into their first map.
Yeah, they could go with one of the spicier maps in the pool and make it count emphatically. That looks far more comfortable, that one throughout. And honestly, those two scores from Amamiya Kokoro and worst Hard Rock player are so good. 98% on the side of worst Hard Rock player is incredible for this map.
I do think the United Kingdom here, going into their first map, will likely want to stick into the speed lane of the maps that they can still pick. I think you still do have DT2. As you mentioned, the stamina roster for UK is pretty strong.
They'll certainly be looking at that because they have players that are going to be so comfortable on these speedier picks. It's also a good way to settle yourself down, especially in the early sort of runs in a match, right? Get yourself onto something nice and comfy. DT2 is still open. Paranoia, stamina heavy DT. Wouldn't be a bad shout for them. Warhite wouldn't be a bad shout for them either. The old school DTA map.
Also do have No Mod 3, the No Mod speed map. It's sitting there later on if they want it. Obviously the No Mod 3 a lot more aim heavy, and the extra little bit of added density compared to the Double Time 2 will probably make it a bit more even for South Korea. Obviously that team is no slouch to tapping, as you mentioned. To think hard here.
I think another interesting idea would be some stuff in the hidden pool, because UK are a bit of a hidden team this year. Tough one against South Korea, but they are going to go into that No Mod 3 Wandered, the No Mod speed map. It's not sitting there anymore, it's been noticed.
Yep. And obviously, as you mentioned, the tapping roster for UK, Akali Bet obviously maybe the best, probably the best tapping player in the world with some of the solo scores he's put out. You obviously have Mr. Fudgeface, Rudge as well. And probably expect to see Bubbleman come in for this just because of his sheer consistency, assuming he's comfy to tap this, which I imagine he will be.
So hopefully they've got the warms going on. At 240, yeah, I can see Bubbleman coming in for this. He'd be fine once he's prepared. And of course, that last slot, it seems ripe for Malteser, one of UK's key speed players. There he is. Should line the UK up pretty nicely for this one.
Obviously, one of the most daunting things about being up against first seed is to get first seed, you pretty much have to have no significant weaknesses in qualies. And because this is around the qualifier difficulty, South Korea is going to be able to play speed at this level. See Karcher, Restia, and Perezia in the lobby as they think about their fourth. That is going to be quite a roster to go up against.
I can only imagine that's going to be Flying Tuna in the fourth, right? He should be just fine on something like this at 240. His speed has been excellent this year in his appearances since his return. So he seems like a fine addition as a fourth. If you need a fourth, we'll take Flying Tuna.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll put Flying Tuna as a fourth. It'll be fine. And yeah, and he is in, as you mentioned.
There it is. Yep. Parisia in as well. For Team Korea, for this speed pick, so important. On such good form too. Coming in for this one, and of course Karcher is back again. Of course he would be.
You know, Karcher, I don't think he's been playing the past few matches as much as you'd expect him to play, but obviously now this is their first, South Korea's first big opponent, in the top 8. So I think this is where they really want to get serious and start fielding Karcher, who's one of their best players.
In terms of their earlier matches, they have been fielding a lot of their newer players and their back-end players, but whether that's a case of trying to bed them in, get them some experience ready for a matchup like this, or whether it is a case of those back-end players just being so strong that they can sub in. I think it's the latter, but certainly now those back-end players are warmed up, ready to go, but Karcher is the big game player you really want at these tight late-stage matches. Or mid-stage, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Early into this map, obviously 240 BPM Alden speed. Break from Bubbleman in the early ons in this map. Another break, maybe not super comfortable on the 240 BPM, but it's matched by Perezia.
The early trades there, 1-1, 3FC3 in the early stages here, and this 2-minute map, it's not very long. So those early misses can count for quite a lot. Especially in these lineups like this, where both teams are so well set on something speedy and quarterfinals level. Early misses might be rather significant.
Still pretty even on 3-3. Bubbleman and Perezia have both recovered.
Bit of ack, really, for Korea, keeping them in the lead here. Overall. Only a tiny bit, though. It's really only the difference between Perezia and Bubbleman. The rest of the team are neck and neck on every metric. But here comes the second drop.
Close one. And you really want to win this one if you're United Kingdom. Restia does find a break. That's the opening the United Kingdom needs. But Akalibed finds a drop as well. Evens it out once again. But I do think the accuracies slightly favor the United Kingdom. And that break from Flying Tuna is going to be massive, but matched by Malteser once again. Now Mr. Fudgeface, Rudge up against Karcher. Prezi and Bubbleman both in the recoveries. It's still a slight favor to United Kingdom if everybody holds. I do think we might see that happen.
Yeah, the recovery from Bubbleman there was huge. A bit more combo through that ending. Just about saving it there for the UK. They do win their first pick. Very, very close, though. Just the smallest of misses deciding this one, really. It's a double FC from Karcher and Rudge. Mr. Fudgeface there. But it does go the way of Team UK for their first pick.
And a good way to start. Always, really nice to start with a dub up against team as strong as South Korea. It's going to give UK confidence boost, might lead them to pick Double Time 2 next if they want to stay in the tapping category. And Maltese are excited for No Sweep. Love to see it.
It's No Sweep Sunday. It's happening. But UK, with plenty of picks, really, they should be voting to maybe push for a bit more than that. We'll see, though. Korea with the next pick, with all of the pool to peruse. Do expect them to go into much more of that control, because they love that control, and they've been going into it all tournaments so far. There's no, apart from like Nomad 2, the Tsunamix map, which is low AR, not much in the Nomad pool, so they'd have to go elsewhere for their control, really.
Yeah, I think when it comes to control, you have Free Mod 4, Hidden 3, Hidden 2 is still open. I do think the low AR team of South Korea is pretty strong, so do you have that? Not necessarily control, it is more so aim, but does test the gimmick reading. Nomad 2 as well, so still a good amount of control gimmicky options that South Korea can go for. But as you mentioned, if UK is feeling really good on that hidden, that might dissuade South Korea from picking into that hidden category first.
I think it's a bit brave to pick the low AR hidden into UK, considering some of their key players on that have been so good. They have players like Easy Champ, who have been so good at that as well. Rudge has been filling in well. I think they got the top scores on hidden in the qualifiers, which is similar difficulty to this. This is a little bit harder than that, but it is going to be hidden to go into the hidden 3, the ulti Toybot hidden pick, and this does fit South Korea down to a T, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. This is closer to what you would expect from a No Mod 3 in a more standard pool, but obviously with hidden slapped onto it, especially with it not really being a normal alt map in the No Mod pool. You have No Mod 2, which is the closest thing, but that's more of a gimmick reading map. This is going to be well within South Korea's strengths. Expect to see Flying Tuna come into the lobby for this one. But yeah, this is a fantastic alt consistency team.
And this map is one of the closer maps in this pool to your usual sort of No Mod 3 ult, except it's on the hidden, which ain't going to phase Korea all that much. Fairly comfy flow, fairly standard flow for the most part on this sort of ulti style. UK have plenty of hidden players that should be okay on this unhidden as well, but I would definitely give the edge to the general higher AR hidden comfort to South Korea on something like this.
Yeah, 100% on an ult map like this. This is 100% in favor of South Korea, but with the hidden roster from UK, once again, this is another skill set similar to the Hard Rock 1, where you do find a lot of silly breaks even if you're strong in the skill set, but I mean, South Korea is one of those teams which is consistent on skill sets that are hard to be consistent on. So it's still unwise to anticipate that many breaks from South Korea.
Yeah, I can't see even like the weirder patterns in this phasing any of the players that have just come in for South Korea. This is such a good setup for something like this, especially when it's on a mod pool. It's a great setup for it. It's the usual setup for pretty much any ult map that comes out really for South Korea. You know, Karcher, worst Ardok player, Flying Tuna, and Allegrissimo is their No Mod 3 squad.
Yeah, the No Mod 3 squad is a monster on the South Korean team. And you know, dare I say, if there's any team that could get a top score on this map, on this quarterfinals weekend, it's this South Korea team. If they play to their potential.
On side of UK, Haunter coming in for the UK for these more control-based picks, filling in as the 4 there. Very solid 4, especially on the hidden as well. Had some good performances on some of the free mods in the tournament so far as the hidden carry.
You know, we were talking about whether or not Karcher was fielded less because, you know, to give the backing players some extra match experience, or maybe because Karcher wasn't feeling as well. Karcher's already been in for 2 maps now, which I think is more than he was last week. I think he was maybe only in for 1 last week, so maybe expect to see a lot more of Karcher in this one. An early break from Flying Tuna and Bubbleman, the 2 OGs being the first to break.
Up to the new blood to try and run this through in the early stages. Accuracy is looking very much dead even. Slightly, I guess, in favour of South Korea, but only by a smidge. Wolfman with another break there, giving the advantage a little bit more to South Korea. Still 3 FCs to 3. Coming through this first chorus. Very nicely done from both sides. There goes Akolibed there. It's 2 FCs now for Team UK, and they are behind. South Korea going to start wheeling away in this next verse section.
They're going to start slowly taking this one away, but because of the nature of the skill set, none of these combos are safe. Blink and you will find a miss. But I mean, the accuracies right now in South Korea looking so good. Everybody above 99%. The finger control is on point today.
Yeah, they're on the ball as you'd expect. There goes worst hard rock player though, so now they're only down to 2 FCs. 150k in advantage is a decent buffer to have. Here comes the solo though, they have to keep down. There goes Flying Tuna now. It's only Karcher now for South Korea. Advantage UK.
That break from Allegrissimo is massive, but Haunt drops on the side of UK, one of the FCs remaining. It's now just Kingling with the full combo for the United Kingdom to match Karcher. As Akolibed's on the recovery, I do think they have a slight score lead. They hold on, but Kingling finding the break, but so does Karcher! However, that does favor South Korea. They already have the score advantage, so they would want all of the score, all of the big combos to disappear. Especially with that break from Akolibed. That massive recovery is now gone. It's going to start swinging back to South Korea, especially with that changes from Kingling.
Final chorus now, and the combos are all here with South Korea. Should be able to see this one out now. They got a lot of insurance as well, and multiple good combos through the section as well. Fairly close, but South Korea's control prowess just showing through here. And those accuracies we've seen throughout this one from all 4 players in South Korea was something to behold, Vordy.
Yeah, I mean, the accuracies are pretty absurd from South Korea. Just really goes to show their comfort on this skill set. They do take it, but you know, United Kingdom not too far behind. The opportunity was there. It wasn't as big of a differential as we saw in Hard Rock 1. So if, you know, South Korea picks into maps like that, maybe UK has a chance at taking one of those. That is going to be United Kingdom's second pick. And I imagine they might just stay with speed and go DT2.
It would surprise me. Stick with what ain't broke, just keep that speed abuse going. UK can take heart in how competitive that one was. Maybe some of the ulti maps coming up later on are a bit more on the techie side, the control side, with some tougher control. We'll see how that works out. That was fairly close. So, yeah, Paranoia, DT could be a shout, or Warhite. I do think the low AR hidden is a choice here for the UK, and by extension the low AR in no mod as well, the Tsunamics map as well, could be an option for them. A few choices here. They could go down Gimmick Street here. Maybe later on though.
Yeah, for sure later on. I imagine the match gets to, they'll tap into that Gimmick skill set. And, especially no mod 2, if you have a 4-man who's really well practiced on it, I do think practice makes a huge difference in that map. Once again, you know, you kind of do expect South Korea to be a team to practice maps like that. They're definitely not going to be a slouch on that skill set. Hidden 2 is obviously still low AR hidden, but more just more of your aim, more of a test of your ability to read the approach rating than the map itself. But I imagine they'll just go back to back with the speed, considering that was what got them the point. Oh, TT4. Okay, so not immediately going into the double time 2. Maybe leaving that for later. They instead go for the finger control, aim control double time. 210 BPM. Still a little bit of stamina. Definitely not completely free on stamina, but way more focused on the aim control.
Certainly. This is more of a control map, and in this matchup with the rosters both teams have, the speed part of this is going to be pretty negligible. It is going to be about the control and the aim and those kick sliders, the buzz sliders, that side of things. I mean, in terms of that, we were saying about the control roster of South Korea being very scary. With it being on DT, the UK should bode better, but this is very contested in my opinion. A proper toss-up matchup on this map.
Yeah, 100%. This is something that I think Korea's gonna feel pretty good on, as long as they're feeling, and because it's not even 10.3, it's AR10, I do think that the roster of South Korea will feel pretty good on this. We'll have to see. It is United Kingdom's pick, so they know something we don't about their team scores.
Yeah, maybe. I guess it is one of those cases where they must have had some really good scores in practice to go for this early. I mean, they could very well be saving some of the speedier picks for later on. That is also a thing that UK like to do sometimes. But they must be confident on this if they're going for this early into South Korea. You don't pick control into them lightly.
Yeah, for sure. I think you only go for it if you're feeling super confident. And I honestly do think United Kingdom strat should just be pick their best maps, regardless of what they think South Korea will get on them, just because against Seed 1, you're not really picking into weaknesses. They don't really have any weaknesses that are that significant. That is what it means to be Seed 1. So you just have to pick your best maps and perform on them.
There's a little bit of a warm-up going on the side of UK with the players slowly slipping in. Got Accolade and Kingling, Rudge in there, as well as Bubbleman returning in after getting prepped, I imagine.
And definitely not a bad map to just give a try for a few seconds to warm up to the 1/4 cuts that you're going to have to play a lot of.
Side of South Korea. Amamiya Kokoro coming back here for this DT4, as well as Restia returning into the side. He's played a lot in this match, featured a lot so far, had a good game as well.
I think that was a very, very early break from Akalibed, but going to make a pretty much insignificant difference. I do think the key of this map is consistency. See a break from Bubbleman. This map just doesn't really stop. It doesn't give you a breather to catch your aim and your tapping. I do think a lot of players will be able to hold on for maybe, the halfway mark, but it's really going to be those key players who can carry on through the entire map with the combo. It's going to make the difference for their teams.
Yeah, I've seen some very good team scores on this so far. A few misses there from Team UK. It's just Kingling left with the FC against a 4-way from Team South Korea. Oh, South Korea going to be launched into orbit with this huge combo advantage they have at the halfway point.
Just Kingling on his team's second pick. It's not necessarily what you want to see, as a monstrous score from South Korea unfolds. Restia will be the first to break for the South Korean roster, but it's still Card Traverse, the HR player, and Amamiya Kokoro all on the full combos as they march their way to have a massive score differential. It's going to approach 1 million if they keep holding on to these combos.
In the second half now with the big drop now. Some more bus sliders coming up later on that can easily catch you out if you're unawares. But that's not even going to matter to South Korea. They are getting so far ahead. They drop an FC. They've still got 2 Kingling drops as well, though. There's nothing left on the UK. And that is dominating on the UK's pick. Huge break point here. These FCs, though.
This scoreline from South Korea is monstrous, as they're about to get a double FC. They do with Karcher and Amamiya. They managed to get it done, and that is a rough second pick from United Kingdom. Not how you want to see it go, especially after No Mod 3 went fairly well for them. Now South Korea up 3-1 going into their third pick. And I think United Kingdom likely not going to want to pick much control after that.
Yeah, I think it was brave. It was brave. I guess it just didn't work out here for the UK, and South Korea performing as we'd expect, really. But even then, that's a very good team score in the grand scheme of things from South Korea. Karcher and Amamiya Kokoro just doing incredible work here for the red team. And with the next pick in tow, they're in a fantastic spot right now in the early rounds of this game.
Yeah, I mean, South Korea looking strong as you would imagine. They're going into the next pick. Obviously, considering how well Hidden 3 went, I think picking into Gimmick Control is still something they can go for. I mean, I think their biggest margin of victory proportional-wise was double time 4, and that wasn't even their pick. So definitely Control is the go-to here. I still think free mod 4 is a fantastic option for them at some point. No mod 2 should be an option as well.
I do really want to see a low AR battle between these two. I think that would be so fun to watch with the teams we have here. But will someone be brave enough to go into it? Maybe it's a bit precarious now, I think, to go into low AR. I think they're better off picking something like free mod 4, something a bit more comfortable for them. But maybe they're feeling frisky today.
And I imagine United Kingdom would be the one to pick into the hidden too. But yeah, it is going to be South Korea picking the free mod 4. I do think this is a very expected pick from South Korea. This is the closest you can get to the hidden 3 without being the hidden 3 in terms of it being a pretty standard alt map with some polyrhythm mixed in. And obviously you have the added element of having to go modded, which means somebody needs to take hard rock, somebody needs to take hidden. And obviously on the side of South Korea, you have worst HR player who's going to be phenomenal on the hidden, Karcher on the hard rocks. This is one of the free mod lineups of the tournament.
Easily. And with a map like this, which is so volatile, with very tough aim control sections and pretty nasty density as well, those mod players have a hard time. But you can't see these South Korean mod players having a hard time with this. I think the UK's players, it's up to them to try and match them. They've done pretty well this tourney, but this is a tough one in a tournament environment. The normal players, they'll be fine, but the free mod roster is so good for South Korea. You do wonder whether the UK would be able to match them on something like this.
Yeah, for sure. I do think it will be a little bit closer. United Kingdom does have the option to go double no mod, which I think will favor them. I think you can go... They'll definitely have one confident hidden and one confident hard rock player on the team. Maybe a Colibet can go hard rock, something like Bubbleman hidden, perhaps. Have to see.
I'd imagine they'd put Haunter on the hidden. Haunter's been really focused on taking those hiddens in these free mods. Done very well at it so far. Perhaps Kingling will be taking a hard rock. I think they'll put Bubbleman on the no mod.
Oh yeah, sure.
But yeah, I guess we'll see. I imagine they'll be keeping it safe.
Kingling on hard rock would make sense.
Or just saw Rudge pop in there. Is Rudge going to be playing this one? Oh, maybe not. There is Kingling and there is Bubbleman.
I do think you're right with your call. It's probably Haunt on the hidden, Kingling on the hard rock, Akali Ben, Bubbleman on the safe no mods. And then on the side of South Korea, you'll likely see Karcher on hard rock, worst HR player on hidden, and Spectre and Tuna on the no mods.
I think that sounds wise. I think that makes sense. It does write itself. But this is a volatile pick. It's so short as well. And maps this short, really anything can happen. You can get a cheeky run when you think you couldn't because the map's so short. But the map's relentless and its aim control is hard enough that even though it is so short, those control players are definitely going to stand out on something like this.
And the mods are as we anticipated. No overmodding, which is likely smart. I think at this point, the maps are hard enough. You really do not want to see that many overmods unless you're extremely, extremely confident on one of the mods. Colibet going to be the first to find some misses. As well as Spectre, I think. Be very, very early to miss.
Yeah, I think Colibet got a bit of a chain miss there on one of the first patterns. Going to be hurting his act quite a bit as well as this map goes on.
South Korea just looking confident in the intros. Kingling finds the hard rock break. It's going to be a massive modded FC gone for the UK as Karcher holds on through. And this is a very short map, so misses even at this point in the match are pretty devastating as Bubbleman breaks right in the middle. And now South Korea has a huge combo advantage going to the second half.
A very early miss from Spectre coming in for this one. Just getting the nerves out. Karcher drops his hard rock FC, but his team's got his back. His team just holding the fort here. Recoveries from the UK, but it's already the last quarter of the map, 40.
Yeah, there's just not much time left. Obviously, if we did see a triple break from South Korea, there would be enough time, but with the players in this lobby, I don't think you'd expect that to happen, especially with that miss from Macaulay Bed. It's now just Haunt on the hidden, keeping some hope alive for the team, but it's not going to be enough. This three-way from South Korea is going to do it, and they will take their third pick in pretty convincing fashion once again.
Yeah, convincing and an incredible style. That's a great score again from South Korea. Spectre with the reverse choke, 98.6% by the way. Incredible stuff here from Team South Korea with two big FCs. The hidden FC from worst Hard Rock player is just a disgusting score. What a player.
Almost matched by Haunt, just missing right at the end. But yeah, I mean, that consistency from the South Korean roster on maps like this is really unmatched, I think, in the tournament from any other team.
Yeah, they have the control roster to die for, Vordy. Also, to mention there, Bubbleman had the best AC in the room as well, the 98.7. So good for this map as well. But against South Korea, man, you need a bit more than that. It
is a combo game after all, as United Kingdom immediately picks the Nomad 2, and I think they're giving you the low AR showdown that you wanted to see, Doomsday.
Let's go. This is what I live for, buddy. The Nomad 2, which is totally a Nomad 2. This is totally a street map, guys. No, it's not. It's low AR. AR 8.5, overlap reading hell. I've seen it a few times, but it hasn't been terribly popular. I'm not surprised. Very, very gimmicky map.
Yeah, this is 100% a very niche skill set. Not many players have what it takes to read a map of this caliber. It is pretty short, but it is dense enough that you cannot luck into an FC on this map. You have to be practiced. Your reading has to be on point on some of these overlaps. In the AR 8.5, this makes that reading the extra bit harder.
Yeah, it's not just about the low AR or the overlaps. It is, yeah, about those rhythms. So many nasty rhythms in this. UK going into this is definitely something that is one of their strengths. They have been a bit of a reading team, a bit of a hidden team, low AR hidden team. I imagine we'll be seeing an appearance from Easy Champ here for this low AR Nomad. And the fourth, could be a couple people for UK. Could be Bubbleman. Could possibly even be someone like Kingling or Grudge. But I imagine it's probably going to be Bubbleman. Probably just taking a look at the map, I imagine.
Yeah, I am excited to see Easy Champ on this map. I think out of all of the players for United Kingdom on the skill set, he's going to be the standout player. Obviously, AR 8.5 to somebody who plays Easy means nothing. May as well be in the comfort zone. We will be seeing Flying Tuna step in for his team alongside worst HR player Restia and Amamiya Kokoro. And honestly, like, with how we've seen the control roster of South Korea, this being a control map, obviously of a more gimmicky nature, I think they'll be able to put up more than a good fight on this.
Absolutely. Throughout their roster, they have so many players that are going to be fine on something like this, and you know they've put the time in to practice it. They've drilled this map. They know what their role is. As a 4, they're going to be fine. I said this should be a proper good fight against two strong low AR teams. This should be a treat.
I have to see how it goes. My eyes are glued on Easy Champ for this one. I believe I'm an Easy Champ believer for the skill set.
He has done well. In his debut year for OWC, he has performed on these reading maps. We'll see how he does today. Side of South Korea, Flying Tuna has been extremely strong on these low AR, no mod gimmick reading maps in tournament, even at the very highest grand final level. Certainly a one to watch as well.
It's going to be an early break from Kingling, but as this map ramps up, I don't expect to see that many combos hold through. Worst HR player does find a break. It's a massive break from South Korea, matched by Kingling once again, still favored to South Korea just because of the breaks from Kingling. The accuracy as well from South Korea, making the difference.
Yeah, Haunt combo gaming a bit. Flying Tuna finds the break though. It's only Amami Kokoro left. Double miss there from UK. It's just Easy Champ. Easy Champ versus Amami Kokoro, but the backing combo from South Korea keeping them in the lead.
I do think you can feel pretty good about Easy Champ holding through, but you need to find a break from Amami Kokoro, and there it is! Now it's all... The floor is open for Easy Champ to take this away for his team and get the second point on the board. Within his grasp, he's so good at this skill set.
It is all on him. Easy Champ has to do it because his team are struggling. They are recovering nicely, but it is up to Easy Champ.
Oh, but those chain misses from his team is keeping that score gap still open towards South Korea, and despite a huge FC from Easy Champ, the consistency of the South Korean roster holds through with that massive recovery from worst HR player, and they will take that point.
Yeah, as strong as that score was from Easy Champ, and it was incredible. The team from South Korea, too strong. The team effort, keeping it at bay. And South Korea on a match point, Vordy. 1 point away, and with the pick to close this one out. Just the one misses. The sea of one misses there from South Korea. And that Ak from worst Hard Rock player is just incredible.
Real rhythm player. But this is not a position you want to be if you're UK, being down 1-5 on match point with South Korea to pick. They still have quite a few pretty strong options that they can go for here. And they go for free mod too. So staying in the free mod category, I did mention before how strong this free mod team is because of the Karcher worst HR player dynamic. They pick the flow aim heavy map, a touch under 160 BPM, just focused on cuts and flow aim. And once again, I would put this in the control category.
Definitely in the control category. South Korea know their flavor of the month today, and they are sticking to it. Lots and lots of control all the time. This one mean what about flow aim? The low BPM streams almost, but there's cuts everywhere on different rhythm snaps all over the shop in this. So it is about the control more than the raw flow aim. Mostly. There are some kind of spaced streams on here as well, so but it's a control map, and South Korea's control roster has been so good today. Why change the recipe when it still tastes this good?
Yeah, I completely agree. When something is working that well, you do not really want to change it up, especially when there's still options like it in the pool. But once again, I expect to see Karcher on the Hard Rock, worst HR player on the Hidden. And we'll see if they go for the same strat on United Kingdom, Haunt on the Hidden, and maybe Kingling once again on the Hard Rock. I think Kingling's going to feel pretty good about hard rocking a map like this. Easy Champ for the flow aim map does make sense. He is a very strong flow aim player on top of being a good reading player.
Yeah, we could see a mix of the mods. I mean, I imagine Haunter will still be sticking with the Hidden, but Easy Champ Hidden might not be a bad shout too. Yeah, Kingling Hard Rock sounds about right for this, I think. Sounds about right. Outside of South Korea, though, they're just chilling. They know exactly where they're going. Their roster's been in for a while. They are already well prepared. Allegrissimo is back in and ready to rock.
Put Allegrissimo in. But yeah, that is going to be potentially the final pick if this goes to South Korea's favor. But it's going to be United Kingdom with the opportunity to extend this match. I do think the roster on United Kingdom, I mean, this is a roster that is capable of playing a skill set like this very well. It's just with how South Korea has been playing, you just can't really make many mistakes. There's such an impenetrable team.
Yeah, they've been in control on these picks, man. Just so much more comfortable so far, but there's still an opportunity here for the UK if they choose to take it. Match point here for South Korea. Early break there from Bubbleman on the no mod. Getting a bit of a chain miss there, giving South Korea an early lead.
Break from Haunt as well on the Hidden. Only 2 combos left for UK, but still plenty of time to recover. Once again, South Korea's been looking so strong in the skill set. The only person with any low accuracy, relatively, is Karcher, but on the Hard Rock with OD10, that does make sense. Kingling obviously extremely comfortable at acting these hard rock maps, but does find a break! And now it's just easy champ on the FC for Team United Kingdom. And South Korea is going to start taking this away if they can keep holding on to this 4-way, but Alexissimo does find a break. It's now 3-1.
Yeah, the FC's to 1 here in the first third. South Korea still very much in the driving seat here. Easy champ trying to pull something back here for the UK. Haunter's recovering nicely. Here comes the chorus. Some harder patterns here.
Nobody finding breaks so far in this section. Combos are being held on, but that another break from Haunt does favor South Korea once again. It's still 3-1. Recoveries from Bubbleman and Kingling does make this possible, but if UK wants to have a chance at taking this and keeping the match going, we need to see some breaks from South Korea, but with how they've been looking, I don't know if that's going to happen.
There's one from Allegrisimo, but that's not the big combo. There's still 3 FCs. Make that 2. Vestia gets a drop. Still with South Korea, though. UK need a full reset quick to make anything happen here. It is looking grim here for the UK. South Korea, this match, have made maps that very good teams have found constant misses on. They've made them look ordinary in this matchup on these control picks. This is an absolute clinic here from South Korea.
You can see worst HR player on monumental act. Karcher still holding on to that. I think it's a very, very early hard rock miss, but we'll count that as an FC. And this dynamic modded duo is really the backbone of what makes South Korea such a fierce free mod team. And they're both holding onto these combos still, as Allegrisimo and Restia with those massive backing no-mod scores. This is going to likely be it. The question is, can worst HR player still hold onto this FC? Karcher does find a miss in the hard rock. Oh, no. Wow. What a score from worst HR player.
What a score. Another fantastic FC from worst hard rock player. He has shown up today in huge style. These hidden scores he's put out have been amazing. Karcher with that 930k on hard rock. Just ridiculous. South Korea completely outclassing the UK here. What a performance. They are in it to win it, Vordy. And they have won this one emphatically. What a performance.
Yep, completely. As you said, in it to win it. They're not looking to stop here. They want to keep going, keep the momentum, and hopefully look to win the entire tournament and make the magic happen for the South Korean team. They will be moving on in the winner's bracket to verse the winner of Russia-Philippines. Oh, that's going to be a banger, and I do think it's going to be happening in, I want to say, 38 minutes? I think. And then obviously, UK not out yet. This was a winner's bracket match. So they'll be moving down to go up against Chile, and that's going to be a close matchup.
That's going to be a matchup and a half. Chile have looked on great form. They're already on their best run in over a decade, looking to make it longer. But the UK, even though they did get, they lost this one, and South Korea did definitely have well, they were dominating really, but the UK still has some very good scores there in the grand scheme of this weekend. They're still very much in it to progress in this tournament. A stern test for them, but they should have a very good chance against Chile and progression. We'll see how they do next week, though. But
yeah, for this
train has no breaks, so Vordy. Plenty more to go today.
Plenty of matches today, plenty of bangers still to go. Obviously, there is that mentioned Russia versus Philippines match happening in 36 minutes now. I think there'll also be Germany-Indonesia happening on what I assume will be the B stream. So both of those matches should be pretty good to watch. Unfortunately, they're both happening at the same time, but that is how these schedules go. After that, you'll still have Ukraine, China, France, Sweden, and USA, Canada to round out this already excellent weekend. Hope to see you there. But that'll be it from me. I've been Vordy, and been a pleasure to be joined by along Doomsday. And yeah, that'll be it from us.
Yep, stay tuned everyone for more OWC 2023 action.